So in the very top left side of the map is one of the larger locations added in Build 42, a nice town with lots to do and explore. Well, that is if you're on the nice side of town, because half of the damn town is in ruins. I don't know if it was bombed after the outbreak started, or maybe it's just a reference to Detroit. But either way, the bottom right side part of town is basically destroyed, so we're just gonna ignore that. Well, except for this one place, because this destroyed building does have a basement, which could hint at this place being a funeral home, or maybe, just maybe, this is where the outbreak started, with some mad scientist doing experiments in his basement, and that's why they bombed the hell out of the city, because it's ground zero. But that's just a theory. A spoodle theory. But anyways, let's move on to more civilized parts of town. And honestly, this town does have some of the most unique locations in the game, so stick around for those. So we'll just start at the bottom and make our way up. So we start strong with a nice house and a restaurant right at the edge of town, beside a pond that would make for a fantastic base. To the right of that is a storage unit and car dealership, and right above that is a ruined gas station with no gas. Imagine pulling up right when you run out of fuel and a horde is coming after you and you need to refuel really quick and get out of there, and bam, the sign says no gas. That would be an understandable crash out. But next to that is a shopping center, so I'm just going to go through these buildings real quick. We have a Spiffos, a Sammy's, which is honestly just like a Ross if you guys know what that is, a music store slash restaurant, Jay's Chicken, an auto repair shop, auto supply store, clothing store, sewing store, tool store, gardening store, a bunch more tiny restaurants, a food store, another restaurant, liquor store, nice, and finally a lamp store. So when you're out looting and you really just want to get a lamp, you know just the place. But now moving more north, another restaurant, a fire department, and a school right beside it. This school had like a 0% chance of burning down, and also a 0% chance of tornado casualties because there's a tornado shelter right above the school. And then if we continue north, we got a church for all you sinners, a nice cafe with a police station right beside it. Then just continuing up the road, a produce store, post office, dentist, and tool store. Then above that is another restaurant, a gun store, bakery, and a bank. And finally we get to the most northern part of town where there's a clothing store, restaurant, and bookstore, with a nursing home right beside that. Honestly, not a bad place to loot for medicine, but damn does it have a lot of zombies. And honestly, the entire town is just a highly dense zombie area, especially in some more interesting locations we're about to get into. Also on the far right side of town is an interesting bar, and it's really only interesting just because I've never seen a bar set up like this, but honestly I really like it. But let's move on to the main attraction of this town, the boat. This is easily one of the coolest places in the entire game. I mean, it's a boat, the only boat in the whole world. And if you make it your base, you are easily the coolest guy in your world. And not just because you're the only guy in your world, well actually yeah, mainly because of that, but anyways. It's a cool place, but it's got a lot of zombies, so watch out. Now we're going to start moving towards the left side of town for some more unique places. First there's a community center, nothing too special about it, but it's got a pool, so that's neat. Moving north there's a medical center, diner, and gas station, and before you literally explode with rage because it says no gas, don't worry because this pump does have gas. Left of that is a church next to a cemetery if you're feeling emo, and finally we have the three most interesting locations besides the boat. First is the prison connected to a courthouse, good luck clearing it, but it would make for a sick base, Walking Dead style. Next is the airport to the left of the prison, not really any reason to come here, it's just a lot of zombies with not a lot of loot, but it's still a cool place, and maybe one day they'll add planes, who knows. We just got skyscrapers, so we're already halfway to recreating 9/11 in Project Zomboid. And finally, the most ridiculous place in town. And I call it ridiculous because that is just too many zombies. This place does have a solid amount of loot, but the amount of zombies here makes me want to start screaming and crying while violently vomiting and crapping my pants. It's a lot. If you do end up clearing this location, I recommend you go outside immediately because you're probably low on vitamin D. And also the architect for this bridge is not the brightest cookie in the box because, well, last time I checked, bridges aren't supposed to just abruptly stop, but here we are. And one last location that isn't really in the town, but close enough to where I gotta mention it. There's a mansion south of the airport, and damn is this place fancy. So if you want a secluded base that's decently close to a main town, this might be the perfect place for you to make your home. But yeah, that's Brandenburg. And as you can tell, it's a pretty big location with a lot to explore. It's got a lot of zombies, and half of the town is in ruins, but it's a very cool and unique town. And honestly, since this town is so big, there's a good chance I missed some interesting locations, so if you know of any, please let me know in the comments. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.